Alright guys, today we're going to be in section 2.3, so lesson 2.3 in your textbook if you want to go and find this and follow along. Alright, so today we're going to rewrite formulas and solve literal equations. So formulas are equations that express one variable in terms of one or more other variables in constants. Consider the formula for the area of a triangle. A equals 1/2 times base times height. If you know the values of the base and the height, you can calculate the area. But what if you know the values of A and B and want to calculate H? So sometimes you know area and base and you want to calculate the height, or you may want to find the base. So you can use this formula. Alright, Lena wants to make a triangular sign that has an area of 48 square inches. But she has not decided on the dimensions of the sign. Complete the calculations. Alright, so remember she wants an area of 48. So it says let the base be 12. So here's her formula. So A equals 1/2 times base times height. So if the area is 48, we need 1/2 times 12 times H. 1/2 of 12 is 6, so we need 6H, and divide by 6, H equals 8. Alright, so all we did was take the area of a triangle, given the area and the base, we calculated for height. Alright, so it says find the height of a triangle with a base of 12. We just did that. When the base was 12, the height was 8 inches. Alright, it says complete the equation to solve for H. Let the base be 24 this time. Alright, so if the base is 24, we're going to have 1/2 times 24 times H, and half of 24 is 12, and 48 divided by 12 is 4. So a simple formula. And then it says find the height when the base is 24. So when the base up here was 24, the height is 4 inches. Alright, it says complete when the base is 8. So 1/2 times 8 inches. Half of 8 is 4. 48 divided by 4 is 12. So when the base is 8, the height is 12. The base is 8 inches, so the height is 12 inches. Alright, it says use multiplication property of equality. So rewrite area equals 1/2 base times height so that it expresses H in terms of A and B. Alright, so we've got Alright, so what they're doing here is your equation is 1/2 base times height. Well, to get rid of a 1/2, we're going to move the 2 to the other side. So to get rid of this 1/2, you multiply by 2 because half of 2 is 1. And whatever we do to one side of an equation, we have to do to the other side of the equation. So that's why you'll see that 2 is multiplied on both sides. So right here, we're left with BH. So the 2 and the half disappeared because it turns into a 1. So it's just a coefficient of 1. And then over here, we've got 2 times A. So that's just one step in solving that equation. Alright, then it says solve here. Alright, I'm actually going to take and write this down so that you can see what we're doing here. So we have A equals 1/2 base times height. And then in the last step, we multiplied everything by 2. So 2 times 1/2 is 1. So we were left with 2A equals BH. So now in this step, they're wanting us to express it in terms of H. That means we want to get H by itself. We're solving for H. So we need to divide both sides by B. So h equals 2a over b. So right here they have 2a over b, and we're going to have that's going to equal h. All right, here's an important thing that you need to know. Where it says literal equation, this is something I would kind of jot down in your notes. AX equals B minus CX, where A and C are not equal to 0. Okay, so if you have a specific equation, like this equation, 3x equals 15 minus 2x, we're solving for x. It's very obvious what the variable is and what we're solving for. A literal equation has multiple variables, and you have to figure out what you're solving for. So this is just kind of a general formula for a literal equation. So just be aware of the difference between a specific equation and a literal equation. A literal equation, again, is just going to have multiple variables in it. All right, it says, given the justifications for the solution steps when solving the literal equation, AX equals B minus CX for X. So they want us to solve this for X. And again, I kind of like to do this on my own and then just kind of look at what we're doing here. So we're going to have AX equals B minus CX. All right, so if I'm solving for X, that means I've got to get my two X's on the same side of the equation. So I can add CX to both sides. So I'm going to have AX plus CX equals, this cancels, so that equals B. All right, A and C are different, so we can't just stick those together. But what we can do is notice that both of these terms have a common factor. So we're going to use distributive property backwards to kind of factor that X out. So we're using distributive property, but not multiplying in. We're actually pulling it out. So if we pull the X out of both terms, here and here, that leaves A plus C equals B. All right, again, remember we're solving for X, so our goal is to get X by itself. And so to get rid of multiplication, X times A plus C, we have to divide by A plus C. So divide both sides by A plus C. Anything divided by itself equals 1. So X equals B over A plus C. All right, so now we can look in the drop downs here and see what steps we're looking at. All right, so they had the same equation, and they first added CX to the other side. So that was the addition property. Then they did the same thing. They factored out the X, or they used distributive property to pull out the X. And then the last thing was they divided both sides by AC. So this would be division property. We can see that that is correct. All right, so moving on down, it says state the solution. Simplify to solve for X. Choose the correct answer. Okay, so here they've already solved it. All you have to do is reduce the A plus C. A divided by C divided by A plus C divided by A plus C equals 1. So that leaves just X equals the B over A plus C. So that is our answer there. All right, it says use the literal equation solution to solve for X using 3 specific equations. All right, so I told you to write this down, so hopefully you wrote down. So the literal equation is, well, AX equals B minus CX. If you scroll back up, you can see that this was given to you earlier That's the general formula for a literal equation that we're looking at here. So it says determine the values of a, b, and c for the equation 3x equals 15 minus 2x. Alright, so if we look, the first number is going to be a. Excuse me. Alright, so a is 3. B is the second number, so that's 15. And C is the last number, and that's 2. So you can see it says minus C, so we're not going to worry about that negative sign right there. We're just going to put 2. Alright, so it says solve for x. So what it's going to do is take these numbers, and now they're going to solve for x. So you can see they got 15 divided by 3 plus 2. 3 plus 2 equals 5. 15 divided by 5 is 3. Alright, determine the values of a, b, and c again. Alright, so we have negative x equals 8 minus 5. So this time the a is negative 1 because there's no number there, but there's a negative sign, so we assume it to be a coefficient of 1. B is 8, and c is, remember this is negative c, so it's negative 5, so c is just 5. And that's our a, b, and c. Alright, in this example, 8 divided by 4, 8 divided by 4 is just 2. Okay, again, they're just taking these numbers and they're solving for the equation. Alright, determine the value of a, b, and c. Alright, so a is 2 in this case. B is 24. And C, be careful with C, this says plus 6. We should have minus C, so how do you get plus 6? This is going to be minus a negative 6. So we're going to have to change the sign for that one to make it correct. So that one is negative 6. Alright, then we use these numbers. 24 divided by negative 4 is negative 6. So we're checking our work. Alright, so a literal equation, an equation with multiple variables. If you have any questions, let me know.